Americans use these 10 idioms every day in work and business. Stay until the end to see how many you know. Have you ever done something really well and then someone says, "That's the new standard"? Now everyone has to perform at that level or higher. In American English, we say, "You raised the bar." But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does raise the bar mean? Let's break it down. This idiom comes from sports, especially high jump. There's a bar you have to jump over. If the bar is low, it's easier. If the bar is high, it's harder. So when you raise the bar, you increase the level. You make something more challenging, or you set a higher standard. In everyday English, raise the bar means improve the standard, make expectations higher, or push for better performance. Let's take a look at some real-life examples using this idiom. I want you to imagine you're at work. An employee does an amazing job on a project. The manager might say, "You really raised the bar on this one." This means the standard is now higher because of your work. Now imagine this. A company launches an incredible product. People say, "Wow, they've raised the bar in the industry." This means other companies now have to do better. Let's picture now this school situation. There's a student who gives an excellent presentation. The teacher says, "That presentation really raised the bar." This means the future presentations are expected to be just as good. Let's picture this personal growth situation. You improve your habits or skills, and someone tells you, "You're raising the bar for yourself." This means you're setting higher expectations. I want you to remember that this is a fixed expression. You can't change the wording. You can't say raised bar. It has to be raised the bar. Do not forget the in between the two words. You could say you raised the bar or they raised the bar. Now let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Raise the bar. Raise the bar. Have you ever been waiting for news, maybe about a job, a project, or something important, and you just want one update? You want to know every time something changes? In American English, we say, "Keep me posted." But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means when Americans use it and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does keep me posted mean? Let's break it down. Posted comes from the idea of sharing information publicly, like posting news or updates. In everyday English, keep me posted means keep me updated, let me know what happens, and tell me any new information. The key idea is ongoing updates, not just one message, and information over time. Let's look at some real-life examples of how we could use this idiom. Imagine you're at work. Your coworker is waiting for approval on a project. You say, "Keep me posted on what they decide." This means tell me as soon as you hear anything. Now imagine you're writing an email. You could say, "Please keep me posted on any updates." This is very common. This means let me know if anything changes. Now imagine you have a friend who has a job interview. You could say, "Good luck, keep me posted." This means tell me what happens. Now imagine that you've had a technician come to the house to fix something for you. You could say, "Keep me posted if there are any issues." This means let me know if something changes. A quick tip for you. It's always a good idea to add please to sound more polite, especially in business. So you would say, "Please keep me posted on this situation." Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Please keep me posted. Please keep me posted. Please keep me posted. Have you ever said yes to something a job, a project, a responsibility, and then suddenly it's too difficult, too stressful, too much to handle. You feel like, why did I agree to this? In American English, we say, I'm in over my head. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does in over your head mean? Let's break it down. Imagine you're in water. At first, it's shallow, easy, comfortable. But then it gets deeper. The water goes above your head. You can't stand. You might struggle to breathe. In everyday English, in over your head means you are involved in something too difficult, you took on more than you can handle, or you feel overwhelmed. Now, let's take a look at some examples of how you could use this idiom in real life. I want you to imagine you're at work. You've just accepted a new position, but the responsibilities are too advanced. You could say to yourself, I think I'm in over my head. This means this is too difficult for me. Imagine now a student at school that decides to take a very difficult class and can't keep up with the schoolwork. They say, I'm in over my head in this class. This means it's too challenging. Now imagine this business situation. Someone starts a business, but doesn't understand the financial side. You might say, he's in over his head. This means he's dealing with something too complex that he doesn't understand. Now, I want you to imagine that you've agreed to plan a baby shower for a friend, but it starts to become overwhelming. It becomes more expensive because your friend wants to invite a bunch of people. You have to do the decorations. You have to purchase the food. You have to purchase the cake. It's too much. You could say, I'm in over my head with this. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. I'm in over my head. I'm in over my head. I'm in over my head. You're in over your head. You're in over your head. You're in over your head. Have you ever met someone and instantly you understand each other? You think the same way. You even finish each other's sentences. It just feels easy. Well, in American English, we say we're on the same wavelength. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does on the same wavelength mean? Let's break it down. A wavelength comes from radio signals. When two devices are on the same wavelength, they connect and they communicate clearly. In everyday English, on the same wavelength means you understand each other, you think in a similar way, you have the same ideas, and communication feels easy. Let's look at some real-life examples of how we would use this idiom. Imagine you're working with a coworker. You both understand the goal, agree on the plan, and work smoothly together. So you say, we're really on the same wavelength. This means we think the same way and work well together. Now imagine that you meet someone and everything feels natural. You both like the same things and communicate easily. So you say, we're on the same wavelength. Now imagine at school, you're working with a group. Everyone understands the assignment. Everyone agrees. Everything goes smoothly. You could say, we're all on the same wavelength. Now imagine that you're talking with someone and you both think the same, react the same, and instantly understand each other. That's being on the same wavelength. So a super simple way to explain this is on the same wavelength means that you understand each other very well. You have the same ideas, the same thinking, and easy communication. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. On the same wavelength. On the same wavelength. On the same wavelength. Have you ever needed to quickly talk to someone just to check in, confirm something, or to get a quick update? Not a long meeting, not a deep conversation, just something fast and simple? In American English, we say, let's touch base. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does touch base mean? Let's break it down. This idiom comes from baseball. When a player runs around the field, they must touch the base to stay safe and to continue playing. In everyday English, touch base means make quick contact with someone, check in briefly, or share or confirm information. It's usually short, informal, and not a long discussion. Now, this idiom is one of those idioms that you hear all over the United States, in offices especially. It's very, very common, whether you're speaking with somebody, business related, or you're sending an email. Let's look at some examples now of how we use this idiom on a day-to-day basis in business and work. Let's imagine you're at work. You're working on a project with a coworker. You say, hey, let's touch base later today. This means let's have a quick conversation later just to check progress. We also very frequently use this idiom when writing emails that are work related. For example, you could send a message to your manager and say, I just wanted to touch base about the deadline. What this means is I wanted to quickly check or confirm something. Imagine now you're on a phone call with a client. You call the client and say, I'm just touching base to see how things are going. What this means is I'm checking in briefly. Now imagine this. You haven't spoken to a coworker for some time. You haven't spoken to this coworker in a few days, and you say, let's touch base this week. This means let's reconnect briefly. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that this idiom is usually used for quick communication and not long explanations. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Let's touch base. Let's touch base. Let's touch base. Have you ever been at work and suddenly everyone knows something? There's an update, a decision was made, plans changed, but you have no idea what's going on. You feel confused, maybe even left out. In American English, we say, I'm not in the loop. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does in the loop mean? Let's break it down. A loop is like a circle. Information moves around inside the circle. If you are in the loop, you are included, you receive updates, and you know what's happening. In everyday English, in the loop means you are informed, you are included in communication, or you know the latest updates. If you're not in the loop, you don't know what's going on, you were not included, or you missed important information. Let's look at some real-life examples using this idiom. Imagine now that you're at work. Your team has a meeting without you. Later, everyone is talking about a new plan. You say, wait, I wasn't in the loop on this. This means no one told you and you didn't get the update. Now imagine at work that your boss sends an email, but forgets to include you. You follow up and say, can you keep me in the loop on future updates? This means include me and send me the information. Now picture this group project at work. Your coworkers are making decisions, but no one is telling you what's going on. You say, hey, I'd like to be in the loop on this project. This means I want to stay informed and please include me. Imagine now that your friends are planning something, but you didn't hear about it. You say, "Why wasn't I in the loop?" This means, why didn't anyone tell me? This idiom is very common in work environments, business communication, in emails and meetings. You'll often hear, "Keep me in the loop," or "I'll keep you in the loop." This is a great professional phrase, and it makes you sound natural and confident in English. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Keep me in the loop. Keep me in the loop. Keep me in the loop. Have you ever worked really hard on something? Maybe a project, a plan, or even a business idea. And then suddenly, it completely fails. And now you have to start over again, from the beginning. In American English, we say, back to the drawing board. And today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means when Americans use it and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does back to the drawing board mean? First, let's break it down. A drawing board is where designers, engineers, or architects create their original plans. So if something doesn't work, they have to go back. They have to erase something and start again. That's where this idiom comes from. In everyday English, when we say back to the drawing board, we mean the plan failed, it didn't work, you have to start again, and you need a new idea. Let's look at some real-life examples. Imagine at work, you spent a week preparing a presentation for your boss. You feel confident, you present it, and your boss says, "This isn't what we need." Ouch! So you say, "All right, back to the drawing board." This means I need to start again and create a better plan. Imagine now that you're designing a house. You create a full plan, but then you realize the layout doesn't make sense. The rooms are too small. So you say, "We're back to the drawing board." This means the design failed. We need a new one. Now imagine you have a YouTube channel. You post a video. You think this is going to do amazing, but then it gets low views. So you think, okay, back to the drawing board. This means I need a new strategy, a new idea, a better plan. Now imagine you try a new recipe. It looks good, but you taste it. It's terrible. Too salty, too dry, just bad. So you say, back to the drawing board. This means I need to fix the recipe or try again. Now imagine you plan the perfect surprise for your partner. Everything is ready, but something goes wrong. You say, well, back to the drawing board, meaning I need a new plan. To make this really simple, back to the drawing board means to start again because something failed. That's it. If it doesn't work, you don't continue, you restart. Now be careful. Don't use this when something is going well. For example, you would not say, everything is working great, back to the drawing board. This doesn't make sense. You only use this idiom when something failed or something didn't work. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board. Have you ever tried to do something faster or cheaper, but you skipped important steps? And in the end, the result wasn't good. In American English, we say, you're cutting corners. Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means when Americans use it and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does cut corners mean? Let's break it down. Imagine you're building something and instead of doing it the right way, you skip steps to save time or money. That's cutting corners. In everyday English, cut corners means to do something quickly or cheaply, skip important steps, not do something properly, or to reduce quality to save time or money. And usually the result is worse. Let's look at some real life examples of how we would use cut corners. Now, one common way that we use this idiom is when we're talking about construction. So imagine a builder is working on a house. Instead of using strong materials, he uses cheaper ones. Instead of doing everything carefully, he rushes. Later, the house has problems, things break. So people say they cut corners, meaning that they didn't do the job properly. Now let's imagine at work that you have an important report to do. But instead of checking everything, you rush and skip details. You submit it, and your boss finds the mistakes. Your boss says, you cut corners on this. Again, meaning you didn't do your best work. Now I want you to imagine a restaurant. A restaurant wants to save money. So they use lower quality ingredients, they reduce portion sizes, and they rush the food. Customers notice, and they say, this place is cutting corners, meaning the quality is going down. Let's imagine now that you have a friend who has a YouTube channel. They want to post more videos, so they skip editing, they don't plan their content, and rush everything. As a result, their videos don't perform well. That's because they're cutting corners. What you're seeing here is that the person is sacrificing quality in order to get their quantity of videos. Imagine now that you've asked one of your children to help you clean the house, but instead of doing it properly, they skip areas. Later, when you take a deeper look at the cleaning that they've done, you see it still looks dirty. You could tell them you were cutting corners when you were cleaning. So to make this super simple, cut corners means to do something badly to save time or money. It's something that you don't do properly and that you rush. Your result is going to be something that you're not proud of, and it's not good quality work. Now make sure not to confuse this with being efficient. Being efficient is doing something well and fast. Cutting corners, on the other hand, is doing something poorly. So for example, we wouldn't say, I finished quickly, I cut corners. That's not always the case. You only say this if the quality is reduced. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Cut corners. Cut corners. Cut corners. Have you ever been thinking about doing something, starting a project, a business, or even going to the gym, but you keep waiting and waiting and never actually start? Then someone tells you, just get the ball rolling. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in everyday English. Let's get started. So what does get the ball rolling mean? Let's break it down. Imagine a ball at the top of a hill. At first, it's not moving. Nothing is happening. But once you push it, it starts rolling, it gains momentum, it becomes easier to continue. In everyday English, get the ball rolling means to start something, to begin a process, to take the first step, or to get things moving. Let's look at some real life examples. Imagine you and your team need to start a new project, but everyone is just talking, planning, waiting, nothing is happening. So you say, all right, let's get the ball rolling. This means let's stop waiting and start. So a quick story for you. When I decided that I was going to start my YouTube channel, or let me take a step back, when I was thinking about starting my YouTube channel, I had to think, how am I going to record my videos? Do I have the right lighting? How am I going to edit my videos? How am I going to find the time to do this? There's all these moving pieces that I had to figure out. Many times with a lot of people that want to actually create a YouTube channel, they never get around to it because there are so many things to do and you get overwhelmed. In my instance, I said, you know what? I don't have all the answers, But you know what? I'm going to get the ball rolling. I'm going to begin. I'm going to start this process. Now imagine you want to plan an event, but no one has done anything yet. So you send the first message, you make the first call, and say, I'll get the ball rolling. This means I'll start the process. Now imagine you want to get in shape, but you keep delaying. Then one day you say, let me just get the ball rolling. So you start going to the gym. You start small, and that's how it begins. So to make this super simple, to get the ball rolling means to start something. That first step is the most important. Once you start, everything becomes easier. I want you to be careful. Don't use this when something is already moving. For example, you wouldn't say, everything is already working well, let's get the ball rolling. No, you only use this at the beginning. Another quick tip is it doesn't mean finish, it only means start. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Get the ball rolling. Get the ball rolling. Get the ball rolling. Have you ever been stuck on a problem? You try everything, the normal way, the obvious solution, but nothing works? And then someone says, you need to think outside the box. But what does that really mean? Today, I'll show you exactly what this idiom means, when Americans use it, and how you can use it naturally in real life. Let's get started. So what does think outside the box mean? Let's break it down. Imagine you are inside a box. Inside the box means normal thinking, common ideas, the usual way of doing things. But when you're outside the box, you think differently, you get creative, and you try new ideas. So in everyday English, think outside the box means be creative, think differently, or find new or unusual solutions. Let's look at some real life examples. Imagine your team is trying to increase sales. Everyone suggests the same ideas. More ads, discounts, emails, but nothing works. Then someone says, we need to think outside the box. So instead, you try something new, a viral campaign, a creative video, something unexpected. Now imagine you have a project. Everyone is doing a basic presentation, slides, text, boring, but you decide to act it out, create a story. Make it interactive. Your teacher says, wow, you really thought outside the box. Imagine now that you're problem solving and you can't solve a problem the usual way. You feel stuck. Then you take a step back and try a completely different approach. That's thinking outside the box. Now imagine you want to surprise someone, but not in the usual way. Instead of a normal gift, you plan something creative and unique. That's thinking outside the box. Now, in case you're still unclear, let's break this down and make it super simple. You only use this idiom when the idea is different, the solution is creative, or it's not the usual way. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. Repeat after me. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. Now, if you haven't already seen my video on the 10 idioms that Americans use in daily life, make sure to take a look in the description below where I have included a link for you.